And we're going to talk about some of the things that make Christmas special, including, of course, treats like chocolate. And I think a lot of people would be interested to know that here in Korea, there is now a burgeoning, a growing, emerging chocolate industry. And we're joining two people who are on the cutting edge of all of this. They own a store called P Choco. They sell chocolate made of ingredients from Venezuela. And we're going to talk to them right now here on Touch Base in Seoul. John Kim and Dan Kim, brothers, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. Yes.
Well, who's John? Who's Dan?
Well, I'm John.
And I'm Jan. Yes.
But since we're in the radio, John is the big brother and Dan is the
Okay.
동생.
Okay. Let me begin with the hyung, then, so to speak. You guys grew up in Venezuela, as I just mentioned. You have very varied backgrounds in the business world, marketing, accounting. And then you came to Korea and eventually now became sort of these chocolate entrepreneurs, soon to be moguls, hopefully. How did that journey begin?
So pretty much we decided to immigrate to Korea. Ironically enough, even though we're technically Korean, but we decided to immigrate here due to the fact of the situation that is going on in Venezuela. As much people is aware, the situation in Venezuela is not doing so hot. Politically, socially, they're struggling. So, I mean, as a young entrepreneurs, we decided to seek other opportunities elsewhere. And what better chance to take it on the motherland of our parents, no?
Okay. Then you're here in Korea. You're leaving a difficult situation. You come here for opportunities to look at certain things, and you might think, okay, you got marketing background, you got accounting, maybe go into finance, maybe go into banking or some other kind of endeavor. Chocolate. What was the thought process of thinking that chocolate was going to be sort of was it a personal choice or was it sort of a market opportunity?
I think it was something that we just stumbled upon. It wasn't something that we really thought about it and then like planned it out well. It was just like a wild throw at the board. And the beginning, it was we were all in our respective fields of work, and then we just decided, you know, on a just chance, what are some options that we can do just for fun. Initially, we weren't thinking of a store or making chocolate. We were just thinking of, you know, just bringing in good chocolate to the Korean market and just distributing it. And I think it started from there. We started to meet with people and do market research from then on. But right before we came here 3 years ago, it wasn't something that we had really like planned it out like beforehand. And I think it was just like a good and like it was a very mishap good decision type of thing. It was a very strange happening for us as well, but in a good way, I guess.
Yeah, and so when we think of then chocolate, normally you don't think, I mean, this could be my own ignorance, but you don't think of Venezuela in the same light as like Belgium or Switzerland, right? As far as being hubs of chocolate manufacturing. There seems to be much more of an artisanal approach that you guys are taking with your product. I think you guys said you grew up in Korea, and when we were kids here in Korea, kind of there was a brand, right? Like Ghana, and that was kind of the image that this is what chocolate is supposed to be. Farm to table is a term, right, that we use in cuisine.
Right,
I
yes.
believe you guys are specializing in what's known as bean to bar chocolate. Can you kind of explain that to us?
Right. So the whole approach to this was, as a marketer, I did my share of market research, and before coming to from Venezuela to Korea, we wanted to bring in a top quality product from Venezuela and represent the good aspect of Venezuela. And that happened to be chocolate. Why chocolate? Because the main ingredient of chocolate being cacao bean, the quality of the cacao bean that produces Venezuela is one of the highest qualities in the world. So therefore, the simple concept here is you get the best chocolate from the best cacao bean. And that's where the whole bean to bar starts, right? From bean, cacao bean, to the chocolate bar. That's why the whole process of bean to bar comes from the whole aspect of the whole journey that the cacao takes all the way to the chocolate bar. And because Venezuela has one of the best cocoa beans, we naturally thought that even though the fame of the good quality chocolate came from Europe, you shouldn't really be focusing more on the main ingredient, which is the cacao bean. So South America having, especially Venezuela, having one of the best cacao beans, it's natural to say that Venezuelan chocolate should be one of the best amongst
Right.
the Europeans as well.
Then again, because your background is in marketing, and if you are coming up with, let's say, copy to do this, take me for example. I go to a convenience store. I'm not very sophisticated in my taste in chocolate, so I pick up any of those bars or any other kind of candies that have chocolate. What would be the difference if I took one of your products, your bean to buy chocolate, and ate or one of these mass-produced chocolates?
So our chocolate really mainly focuses on the origin of the cacao. Mainly the confectionery world or the chocolate world focuses on the type of chocolate. So people don't know further from what's white chocolate, milk chocolate, and dark chocolate. But our focus here is the origin of where this chocolate comes from, meaning where does the cacao bean comes from. And by giving it a single origin focus of the chocolate, depending on the cocoa bean that you get, the origin of the country, you'll get a different flavor of chocolate. So we're literally giving a different aspect of chocolate. So chocolate from now on will be more like coffee, what specialty coffee is, or like wine is. Even though, just to give you an example, even though you get a Cabernet Sauvignon from California, you'll get a different taste from a French Cabernet Sauvignon, even though we're talking about the same grape here. Because of the terroir is different, and also the process and the maker is different. But it really focuses on the main ingredient of what grape is to wine. Here in this case of chocolate will be the cacao bean. So pretty much we're focusing on the main ingredient of the chocolate, which is the cocoa bean or the cacao bean.
And so it is sort of moving towards the increased sophistication and knowledge of the Korean consumer base with other products like coffee, like with artisanal beers and with wine, and that is also kind of permeating through other kind of confectionaries like chocolate. Dan, I believe you have some product that you can show. This is for those who are watching us through our Facebook feed that kind of gives us a flavor if you're a potential customer of what the product looks like.
Sure. So I brought a treat, and I think the best way to show the difference of like the chocolate is just to show it. But more than the visual, you have to taste the chocolate. But we made our bean to bar product in a way that it's easy to melt in the mouth. So it's a thin layer of bark chocolate, and that way you can experience the different tasting profiles of it. So it's a very simple craft paper looking packaging. It says the origin of the chocolate, the date that it was that is good until, which is usually a year from the making, and the product inside just looks like it's a very rough looking piece of chocolate.
You could taste it as well.
Okay. So there's also a thing of how to taste chocolate, and it's using all your senses. But first is to look if if it has a shiny texture on it. You want to see if it has a good tempering, which is a technique used in chocolate making. So the shininess gives a good tempering technique, and also you want to give it a little snap or a break on the chocolate, and by breaking it, you want to listen to the sound of the snap. So that's called the snap, and the more crisp and more clean the sound is, the better tempered the chocolate. And as you notice, chocolate itself is the cacao is a fermented product. So by that fermentation, a lot of flavor is gonna be added onto it. So it's gonna be more intense in flavor.
Yeah, I just had a bite. Definitely, you can tell it is a higher quality product. When you've kind of launched this, though, and you know you have this higher quality product, were there challenges? We know that the Korean business environment can be considered a little bit difficult for smaller businesses to start. It's a different environment from Venezuela, from the U.S. How challenging was that process to get the consumer base interested, to get the business up and running, and maybe run through all the hurdles?
So our concept of chocolate is overall different from the normal chocolate that you see, like you said, Ghana. Ghana is obviously is done by a big company, and they do it industrially, but we do it artisanally per se. But because the industry is more used to of the industrial chocolate, people don't really pay attention on the quality of the ingredients used in chocolate. So I want to make clear that we're not the typical chocolatiers or the chocolate shop. We like to call ourselves chocolate makers, because the reason is a chocolatier is the person who actually confections the chocolate into, let's say, bonbon, cookie, or brownie, or all these sorts of different derivatives of chocolate, right? But we make the chocolate from scratch, meaning we make it from the cacao bean. But a chocolatier, they don't make their own chocolate. In fact, they grab a chocolate from one of these industrial big companies, and they melt it and they use it for their own confection.
Okay.
So that's the biggest challenge here. We're trying to change that aspect of converting people to start tasting the chocolate according to the quality of the cocoa bean rather than branding per se.
Okay.
So, you know, people tend to like move around within chocolates. Like, let's say Ghana is the normal type of chocolate, while Godiva and all these European chocolates is the premium chocolate.
Right.
But the fact is, even in the premium chocolate brands, you don't even know what type of cocoa bean is being used or what quality is being used. So I guess that's the biggest challenge. But little by little, we saw what's the industry like in coffee. And because Korean people took the whole specialty coffee into their hearts, that's one of the potentials that we saw within chocolate as well.
We're almost out of time, but just I guess the final question here is you're up and started, you have a store, it's gaining more and more popularity. What are the future plans, whether it's expansion or branching into other fields? What do you guys have lined up?
I mean, chocolate is a big world, has its own worlds. So, I mean, focusing on the chocolate will be the main issue, and pretty much educating the people in the fact of we offer this different type of chocolate, and we offer the chocolate according to the origin of the cocoa bean. So hopefully we'll keep pushing towards people trying this specialty chocolate, as we say.
Right.
And hopefully Korean people would getting used to of their palate with more sophisticated or more refined chocolate.
Very good. John Kim, Dan Kim, I want to thank you both for joining us, sharing your story with us. Best of luck to you, and hopefully in the future we'll have you guys back again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you
very much.